What's up, everybody? CHM Carnivores here. I hope you're having a wonderful day and a wonderful week. Now, I'm still on the mends trying to get and feeling better, but I felt compelled to make this video because I feel like it's very important. One of the most frustrating things that I see are when good people get taken advantage of. And in the world of carnivorous plants, this is no exception. There are a lot of people out there that want to give this a hobby a try, but unfortunately they get scammed. Whether that be seeds, whether that be plants, they go online with good intentions and they try to buy a plant and or seeds only to be disappointed by nefarious characters. In this video, I'm going to target those characters. I'm going to target those bad things that you see out there to help prevent growers from getting into this hobby, and I'm going to show you how to avoid them, and by pointing out what to look for and what to avoid. All that and more coming your way in just a minute. So right from the jump, I want to go ahead and say that this is going to be a more informative video and less about pictures of plants. But I want to tell you it's critical that you watch this, especially if you're new to the hobby, so that you do not get scammed. And I'm going to start by being controversial. Let's talk about the 3 sites that, in my opinion, no data backing this up, but in my opinion, I see the most scammers on. That's going to be eBay, Etsy, and Amazon. Now, these sites inherently are not bad. They're not looking to scam people, but what they do is they provide an open platform for many different types of people to get on there and sell plants. Unfortunately, there's a lot of really good sellers out there that want to do the right thing. Unfortunately, it leaves the door open for those different type of folks who are more nefarious and want to take advantage of people. I'm not saying don't use those sites. What I'm saying is, if you are going to use them, be extra cautious. Make sure you do your homework, take your time, verify the seller, verify through reviews, and verify through independent reviews through Google to see if they have any other reviews outside of, let's say, the platform itself. And then also do your homework about what the plant or seed should look like. And so that way, when you're looking at them, you're not getting immediately, well, I guess this is what they're supposed to like, I'll go ahead and buy it. You know what you're looking for. And the biggest point I can drive home in this entire video is, if you're not sure, reach out to me. I will help you. I will guide you through before you buy that purchase to make sure that you are not getting scammed. So let's start first by talking about seeds. How can you get scammed when you're buying seeds? It's actually very easy to do, unfortunately. Let's talk about Nepenthes. Now, Nepenthes are hard to fake. Nepenthes have a very unique seed structure. They're very hair-like and thin. I'll put a picture in here. Very hair-like and thin, and they have a bump right in the middle of them, and that is going to be the viable plant, where the seed where the plant comes from. They're very light brown in nature for the most part. Some can be a little darker, but they're hard to fake. Now, a lot of sellers will sell them by the pod, which is really good because then not only do you get more seeds, but then you make sure that you have straight from the source. A good place to buy seeds from is Carnivore. It will cost a little bit more, and sometimes they get a little out of control with their prices on them, but you can get some really good seeds. The thing about Nepenthes seeds is not necessarily that you'll get fakes, is that you won't get viable seeds. And so what do I mean by that? A lot of sellers on some of the secondary sites, as we'll call them here, don't put a date of harvest on those seeds. And so ICPS says 2 months is best for Nepenthes. I've seen them up to 6 months, even 8 months, and still have viability to them. A good reputable source when you're buying seeds will put when they were harvested, and that will let you know what you're getting into. Now, Carnivore is really good about that, and they'll even drop the price if their seeds are getting older. And I'm not in any way, supporting Carnivore. I'm not getting any kickbacks here. That's just somebody that I've used in the past to grow my seedlings and have had a lot of success with. So let's talk about some of the other carnivorous plants that are easier to fake. Drosera, or sundews, is very easy to fake. A lot of these nefarious sellers will sell you chia seeds. Now, if you look at a sundew seed and a chia seed side by side, it's very easy to tell one is not a sundew seed. Sundew seeds are extremely tiny. I cannot emphasize this enough. They are, if not smaller than a grain of sand, at least the size of a grain of sand, and they are very black. Now, not some of them are different. Bananas and filiformis tend to have more of an elongated, sort of a grain of rice kind of look to them, but again, very, very, very tiny. And so if you're not seeing these almost microscopic seedlings, or seeds rather, then something should be ringing a bell. These seeds are going to be, 30 of them would be able to fit, I mean, in the tiniest little capsule. And usually you'll see them in batches of 25 to 30 for sale, sometimes upwards of 100. And while that sounds like a lot, and that is a lot of plants, it's going to be a very microscopic amount. And why am I telling you that? I'm telling you that because that's something that you need to look at. If somebody's selling you 100 sundew seeds and it's in a big pack that's full, good chances that's not it. You can get 100 seeds in a very, very tiny envelope. That doesn't mean they're going to put that in there, but it's something to look out for. So how can you vet these sellers? So step number one is going to be, again, doing your homework. Make sure that you're buying from a reputable source. But then also, most of these sellers will have on-demand pictures of where they're pulling them from, pictures of the seeds themselves, so that you can verify. Chia seeds are going to be much, much larger. They look similar in structure, to be honest with you, but they're going to be much, much larger. And again, I'll put a comparison side by side here for you. So let's talk about Venus flytrap seeds. This is another one that a lot of people get taken advantage of. Venus flytrap seeds are very, very dark black, opaque, and they have a very shiny sheen to them, and they're almost teardrop shaped. They're about the size of a flaxseed, maybe a little bit smaller, and they are definitely wider at the base. Now, there are a lot of different types of plants that get sold as Venus flytrap seeds, and so you want to make sure that you do your homework and that you verify them. When you see a Venus flytrap seed, it's very hard to unsee it. And so what I would suggest you do is either A, reach out to me and I can send you a photo or tell you if what you're buying is viable, or B, go online and look, and you will be able to tell very quickly if something is fraudulent or not. Now, when you get into the different types of seeds for specialty plants, it becomes a little bit more difficult. The biggest thing I would also say about seeds, and this isn't necessarily meant to be a scam in any way, shape, or form, is a lot of sellers won't tell you if these seeds need any special care to be able to grow them. And so it's important for you to know what it takes to maturate those seeds. For instance, filiformis or rotundifolia are going to need a cold stratification to be successful. And so it's important that you understand that. Most reputable growers, not all of them, it doesn't mean they're bad, but most reputable growers will provide some sort of grow instructions on how to do them, or at least will have in the description they need to be cold stratified. So now let's talk about plants. Now, when it comes to carnivorous plants, there's a lot of unknown information about them. So they can be just mysterious and people will take them at face value. They're unique looking, they're different, but there is a point, there is a threshold where they stop being unique and they go into the world of ridiculous. For instance, there's one circulating all over the different sites of this bright blue and sometimes purple Venus flytrap and even Droseras. There are no bright blue or purple Venus flytraps or Droseras. You have dark red Venus flytraps and like red dragon, and some of your Droseras can get very red, but there are no purple or blue ones. If you see this, and even Nepenthes, though so is blue, do not buy those at all. That is a gimmick, that is a scam, that is meant to lure you in by the awesomeness of seeing this blue plant. It doesn't exist. Now, there are different things that are happening daily as far as tissue culture and as far as crossbreeding, but to this date, there's nothing anywhere close to that. Now, and all the things, the other thing is it's not necessarily meant to be a scam. Some people use it as a scam, is the size of the plant. Now, a reputable grower will show you a parent plant and then a smaller one and say, hey, the parent plant is just for, just to show you what it could look like. Here's what you're actually getting. If you don't see that, there's some things to look out for. If you have very, very close-up shots of the plant that seem to be very close, there's a good tendency that they're trying to show you a larger size. If the picture looks more blurry, not always the case, but it could be the case that they're trying to fool you as far as the size goes. It's a little harder to judge by the size, but always, always take the time to ask. Make sure that you are asking what you're buying. A good grower will give you that information, should already have that information in the description, but if they don't, a good grower should give you that information. And then also, and this can be more difficult to see, is generic pictures. I see this all the time. Of course, I'm into it a lot more than a lot of people, but I see reusing of people's other people's pictures that I'm sure the seller doesn't have the go-ahead to use, but they'll reuse these stock photos. If this seller can't provide you a picture of what they're selling, I wouldn't buy from them, quite frankly. If I'm a seller, I want to stand behind my plants. I'm going to stand behind them, and I'm going to care for the customer and make sure they're getting the best quality plant. And if they can't provide you anything but a stock photo of what the plant should look like, then I'm going to stay away personally, and I would suggest that you do the same thing. This next topic is probably the saddest of all the topics, because not only is it taking advantage of people, but it's also taking advantage of the plants themselves, and that is poaching. Now, this in itself is not technically a scam, because you would receive a plant, but it is a scam, and it's also just an abhorrent thing to do. So, how do you know if your plant has been poached or not? It can be difficult, but there are a few things that can give it away. Firstly, if you go on the site that that person's selling from and or their Facebook page, and you see a picture where they're holding up a bushel of different plants with roots, bare roots, showing, that's a good indicator that they have gone and ripped those plants out of the ground. Or if you see photos where it's just a pile of plants that are bare root on the floor or something like that, that is a clear sign of poaching. It can be a little bit difficult, but here's why it matters for you. Poaching not only destroys the habitats, and the reason why we grow carnivorous plants is we're trying to preserve them not only in situ but also ex situ. We want to make sure that they continue to survive, and poaching is a direct threat to that, as some of these populations, especially Nepenthes, grow in very, very, very concentrated areas and can be wiped out in a single afternoon. The other thing is, almost all poached plants will not survive. So when they're ripped out of the ground, that amount of trauma to their root systems and to the plant itself will almost invariably kill them. So it behooves the poacher to get them turned around as quick as possible. You as the buyer are buying a plant, trying to help out, not knowing it's poached and not knowing that it will die. So the best case scenario is to buy from reputable buyers, places like Carnivore, people like California Carnivores, and there's certainly a ton of smaller mom pop names out there that are just as reputable. But here's the thing you can ask them. Ask where they're sourcing their plants. Ask where they're getting plants from their suppliers. Now, they're not going to give you all the trade secrets, but they should be able to tell you where their plants are coming from, and a reputable supplier is providing them to you. It's important that you do not purchase poached plants, and it can be difficult because it stands directly into the face of what we're trying to do, which is preserve these amazing and remarkable plants. I cannot stress enough that if you have questions, then stop and take a moment to ask. When it comes to anything, any type of hobby, there will always be somebody out there looking to take advantage of those who don't know all the information. And that's okay that you don't know all the information. It's not okay that they're taking advantage of you. But luckily you have options at your disposal. Things like my channel and the Facebook group, Carnivorous Plant Help for Beginners, are there to help educate and teach you and get you in a safe place to be able to enjoy this hobby and to be able to enjoy the plants and be able to enjoy the people around it. You do have options, and if you're feeling like you're in a high pressure sales situation, that's usually a red flag and you don't want to buy from that person. Now, if you ever have any questions or in doubt, take a moment, pause, measure twice, cut once, as they say, and go into the Carnivorous Plant Help Facebook group for beginners, Facebook group, or the Carnivorous Plant Help here. Ask the questions. There are a ton of people on that community that will be willing to help. I am always willing to help. And so we will help point you in the right direction and stay away. I cannot overstate the importance of crowdsourcing when dealing with any type of issue, but specifically when it deals with this. There are a lot of people, especially in the Carnivorous Plant Help for Beginners page, that are all the way from novice to people who have been growing plants for decades. And they can help point you in the right direction to make sure that you're successful right from the start. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm thankful that I get to share it with you. I hope that this helps clear up a lot of things. As always, have a wonderful day and a wonderful week. I'll see you soon.